Hey, I'm live. I didn't realize that. Sorry. Don't need the headset because I'm not on a phone. I am in my hotel room. I'm trying to find a place where I don't have to hold on to the phone, that the light isn't terrible. So here I am in a chair, exhausted. That's my coffee paraphernalia behind me. And the show concluded at 3 o'clock, and it was a wonderful show for me, anyhow. Light's better. I got the piece from but I can't remember where I put my tripod. Deal with that another moment. I am exhausted. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, and it had been just long enough that all of the ideas that being around creative energy give me had kicked in, and apparently 3 o'clock Central Time was the moment that was chosen to happen. And so I've made lots of notes. I had made promise to myself that I would not start any new projects before the end of May. So I fudged a little bit because I took some yarn, but they aren't things that I need to start right away. I kind of want to start one because I want to take it on vacation with me, but I have other knitting that I could do. Hey, Anne Marie. So I'm going to tell myself, no, I can't do that. I got some lovely yarn. I was not going to bring home any, but who can resist? So I got something from Queen City. I will be creating a project for them for their December mailing or whatever they do. I got a lovely piece of silk. I'll show you all these next week. And I got a lovely piece of pure Tussauds silk in my favorite pink and green colors. And I already know what I want to do with that, but it's not pressing. It will just be something that I create. It may be my selfish knitting in January. God, I can't believe I'm planning that far ahead. And so the yarn I got from Queen City is red, and it's the same color on two different yarns, and one is 100% wool and one is a blend. So they're really different because, I've been playing with that kind of mixing stuff. And this is telling me my internet connection is unstable, feeling kind of unstable myself. So now I'm going to see if I can find, not my tripod, sorry, Anne-Marie, I'm opening my backpack to see if I can find just realized that my phone is kind of low on power. And did I put it where I was supposed to? It doesn't look like it, but I see the yarn, the pink and green yarn. Hoo-hoo. Isn't that pretty? I said it was Tussauds silk, but it's mulberry silk. And I wonder what I did with that cord. So you get to the end of a show, and you rush to pack to get up because you're so sick of being there. And they come in with forklifts and stuff. And so it's really loud. And the guys, Teamsters who work there, are just they're doing the same thing we are, trying to get done because it's Friday afternoon. And I think they have another show starting tomorrow. So you pack up as quickly as you can. And I do remember seeing that cord and thinking I should put it where I'm supposed to put it. But it would appear that I did not. Oh, there it is. I did not do that. So it's in the right bag. I just hadn't shoved it into the right spot, which I've been doing all the last 3 days. I've left my room key on the desk. Yeah, I'm used to traveling with Mitch, who takes care of all those things. Let's see if I turn this around. Sit better. So let me give you my first impression. I've got some videos of just walking around before the show opened, and I'll put those up tomorrow. People are really starting to knit garments, which is good for what I do. Because of that, yarn shops were much more interested in my calculator than I think they would have been even a year ago. That was good. And finally, yarn shops are thinking that having me teach remotely, a good idea. So I first started asking yarn shops to let me teach remotely 2008. Can you believe that I wanted to do it and nobody could figure it out? And then even after COVID, nobody was willing to do it. So anyhow, now they're seeing that it's way cheaper. I mean, it's easier for me because I don't have to travel. And since I'm becoming 8 years old, that's important. So lots of garments, not very many shawls. Let's see, I did these quickie workshops in the Indian Tangled Pavilion, and my best attended one was for shop owners on using swatches to sell yarn. That surprised me. To me, that's pretty obvious, but they were very responsive to how they could sell things. But I took my 2 dollies, the half-size mannequins, and so they were in my booth. And so I brought them over and showed them half-size garments. And then I sent around the one that has the name of the company that makes them on her leg so that everybody could order them before they had to bring in a new shipment from China. And people didn't have a lot of questions, and perhaps it's because there are a lot more young shop owners. They're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. But it was fun. And then today I did one on styling your knits because we know I'm the queen of style. And I did another one using my calculator, and I talked to this gal 3 times, and turns out she'd gone to dressmaking school and she can hardly wait for me to teach her how to use the calculator. So that was cool. And I did another one. What was it on? I did one showing the techniques that I used in my Berkshire's cowl. And so it was the flexible longtail cast on JSSBO, wrapping more than one time and then dropping the wraps. And I had this lovely mother and her daughter from Paris. I had fortuitously purchased yarn in her shop, not this last time I was in Paris, but the time before when we were there for my 65th birthday. And so I knew exactly. She has 3 shops, but I'd been to her main one. And she was lovely. And her daughter is a more beginning knitter. And I think they were both jet lagged and wasn't really interested in trying to execute the techniques because she can learn from her mom. And so I was just chatting with the daughter while the mom was doing her knitting. I asked her where she was in school, and she said she was in the 3rd year of her bachelor's degree, her baccalaureate. And so I asked her what her degree was going to be in, and she said criminology. And I said, do you watch crime shows on TV? And she said, that's how I found out that it was a job. So I'm a huge murder mystery fan. And asked her if she'd seen shows that I particularly liked, which of course she had. One of the ones I like is called Paris Murder. And some of the other ones are from other parts outside of France. But we'd seen several of the same, and we agreed that true crime was really the best. Mitch always teases me because my preference if we're sitting down to watch documentaries is to watch a murder show. So that was fun. And before that, I had 2 gals of my quickie on taking measurements. And so I gave them tips on how to take measurements without having to acknowledge at that particular moment what your measurement is, and how to put the strings on to get things in the right place. And then we talked about darts and a few things like that. And then I showed them how you figure out how long the run of your sleeve cap has to be based on the width and then the height of the sleeve cap and how you shorten it if you need a wider upper arm. So the rule is that the wider your sleeve, the shorter and shallower the cap. And that could be because of the person needing to have a bigger measurement, or on a drop shoulder that you're just basically eliminating most of the cap. But they really liked knowing that. And these are mostly not always the yarn shop owners, but the employees who are there to gain knowledge that they can then share with their shops. And I've had a lot of discussions about writing for different publications, things like that. And my primary goal outside of my booth was to talk to publishers about getting my Sweater Adjustments book off the ground. Because although I'm naturally inclined to self-publish, I think that due to the fact that I'm 70 years old, I probably don't have the energy to do the proper marketing. And we all know I won't do it. So Mitch was quite relieved when I told him that I was going to. He probably saw himself, stacking boxes of books in the garage. So anyhow, I had 3 very positive discussions with acquisitions editors. And one of the things I did when I got up at the crack of freaking dawn this morning was do a final edit of my pitch letter. So I'll work on that maybe tomorrow morning and send it off with an outline that I've done up and my CV. So I feel like I really accomplished a lot. My friend Tova is here from Norway. So she and Heidi, who's a friend I met at the first H&H I came to in 2022. So we had booths across from each other, Heidi and I, and we had a blast. And the gals next to us, Treasure Goddess, remember the yarn that one was that really deep, deep, deep green. And then the other one was that bamboo. It was kind of a turquoise color. So not only were they tons of fun, Christine and Sarah. So Christine is Treasure Goddess, and then Sarah is a friend of hers. And she had come, so Christine didn't have to do it by herself. And Sarah watched my booth a couple times when I needed to be gone, and the person I was paying didn't show up. So we had a really good time. And so Heidi's driving off, I think, to Davenport, Iowa tomorrow. She lives in Colorado. And Tova and I both leave Sunday. So we're going out to dinner tonight. And the restaurants around here are so loud. Because people are out enjoying the fact that they're away from home at a convention. And so I had a little trouble finding someplace that didn't have loud music because my voice just cannot shout across the tables tonight. Heidi and I went out to dinner on Tuesday night and we literally had to lean on the table to hear each other. And this was just like in a hotel restaurant. So it's Friday night. I think the near months are going to be really loud. And so I have booked us an Uber and we will go down the road to Carmine's Italian restaurant, which is, they assured me, quiet. And then tomorrow morning, I'm hopefully going to sleep in and get myself organized so I have notes that I can act on when I get back from vacation. And then Tova and I'll do something in the afternoon and have dinner together. So she and I met. She reminded me that we met years ago at TNNA. Trying to think. I think Mitch and I went to Norway to see her and her husband in 2017. So it was probably 2012 that we met. And so we were at this party, TNNA, and at somebody's house. And we'd gone with my friends, or Tova had gone. There's Tova. Hey, Tova, I'm just telling the story of when we met. So we were at this crazy party. I had gone because Sarah needed to talk to a vendor that was going to be there. Tova was there because she was there because she just published a book, of which I think she has 25. And we were both standing by the fireplace, and I think I turned to her and, said, I hate these things. We've been fast friends ever since. So when we see each other, it's like our conversation never stopped and we just keep talking. So it's always fun when she comes over from Norway. And Mitch and I have been kind of planning to go to Scandinavia in the fall, but we got kind of freaked out about whether anybody would want us ugly Americans there. So we'll see. We'll probably do it in two just because time is wasting here. So one thing before I go, because I have to get myself downstairs, is that, it was the year Jamie first came. So 2023, Jamie had never been to a trade show before. So she was just there to absorb every possible thing. I mean, we did classes, we saw all the keynotes, just everything. And then she had a huge list of places that she wanted to see, booths that she wanted to see. And so we happened into this booth called Bobolin. And it turned out, because Jamie, talks to anybody, that it was a Ukrainian business. It was just after war had broken out in Ukraine. And so this business had packed up and moved lock, stock, and I don't want to say barrel, I want to say skeins of yarn to Czechoslovakia. And the yarn is like tube cotton, so it's really more crafting yarn than I would normally use. And at that point, it was all like really big stuff. But the gals were really nice, and, we're just kind of like, ugh, from having to go through this transition. So I went by today because I wanted to tell them that I think of them all the time, and to see how their business is, and how, they were able to, their families were able to get out. And of course, the war goes on, and we chatted about that. And then I saw that they had probably like Aran weight spools of their yarn. So I asked them if I could they had some samples. I asked them if I could have some so that I could come up with something to do a fundraiser for them. But I can't start it until June. That will give me something to think about. I may do a swatch just for fun because I haven't knit in a couple of days. And I think that's about all I have. You got to see one beautiful skein of yarn, and I'll show the others when I get home. Oh, this is fun. So I went out for dinner one night with a gal who I met in 2022 at the first J&H, and we had volunteered to help with the Craft Industry Alliance dinner, planning it and putting it on. So Lucy and I became fast friends because we operated the same way, kind of like, just let's get this done. Not a lot of talking about it. And we had a good time hanging out together. So she's here at the show with 3 gals that she has been in a mastermind group with since 2022. And so I think they said their original topic was social media. And although they admitted they haven't talked about social media, had agreed this year that they would all come to H&H and meet up, take classes together, and just have fun. So they allowed me to join them for dinner on Wednesday. And that was really fun. Let's see, one of the gals was a quilter. There was one knitter. Lucy makes fabric dolls. And the other gal, I think, was a quilter. And so the last thing I'll say, because I just chowed down a bunch of Chex Mix, and so I have to brush my teeth. What is the last thing I was going to say? Don't get old. It's really not that fun. So, and then we went across there's this little, they call it the entertainment area. And we went to this place because one of the gals is a big dessert fan. It was kind of vile, super expensive. And we all just kind of went, let's go home to bed. But I can't remember what I was going to say before that. So I am off to brush my teeth because I need to go downstairs in 4 minutes to chat with my Uber guy. So thank you for coming. I will post it's a series of short videos I did about what was on the floor. So I will see you next week.